was at art school, I was really interested in the idea of making these sort of art adventure books. You know, I had this idea that it'd be nice if there was a section in the library called Art Adventure, and in these books you'd find out about the way Joseph Beuys made this piece of work. And in fact, I suppose that Joseph Beuys' Coyote, I Love America and America Loves Me, there was a book in the library, and it was very much that kind of art adventure book, and so I became quite interested in making these books, and the first one that I made was for a piece of work called 48 Hour Long Haul Flight, and I wanted to make this book to kind of go with the film, but also to be the film, but in kind of book form. And so I had this idea that I wanted to make a kind of sculpture of a book, which functions as a published book, and get it in the library, which I did. And my first attempts at making a book were quite amateurish, and I sewed pages together with a sewing machine, and then I sewed those bulks of pages together. I could only sew about 5 pages at a time, and I glued it together, and but it was quite flimsy. It wasn't the best book, and that got in the library. And then after that I was thinking about making other books, but I wanted to make them that were kind of bulletproof, because my one was quite delicate, and it was in the library, and it was in the library all the time I was at art school, and it was part of the library catalogue. So I wanted to make this book that was bomb-proof. So then I started to try and find techniques, and people kept making books and sending them off to Photobox and places like that to have them made, and they come back looking very professional, but a little bit too professional, a little bit almost like a mass-produced book, but they're taking away the kind of handmade element of my first book, which I really did like. So I wanted to work out a technique that I could do, because one of the things that happened was that people would order these books and they'd never arrive in time, and the amount of people that had to get extensions for handing because the book didn't arrive on time. They were given a date and it just didn't arrive, and I never really liked the idea of handing stuff over to other people and relying on their time frame. So I wanted to find a technique that was quick and simple and cheap to produce. So I used a kind of the kind of hole punch that they used to ring bind dissertations. They had a machine in the art school, and so I'd use one of those to punch holes, and then I'd glue the pages together, and then sew the book through the holes that had been made with a hole punch, and kind of bind it in that way. And it worked out to be a really good technique, and I made some really nice books, and some of them were kind of hardback, and I bought books from charity shops and cut them up and worked out, deconstructed them and worked out how they were put together, how the leaves were put together, and I was really happy with it. It worked really well. And so then I kind of started giving workshops at art school about how I made books, and so that ended up being a sort of performance piece, and I had quite good amounts of people coming to these workshops, and so that was it really. And when I did this project, those personal machines of transcendence, I thought that the behind the scenes side of it was kind of quite interesting. So it became almost like the making of a movie. When you buy your DVD and there's the making of such and such a film, but this was like a book version about the process of coming up with the ideas. And a finished work is interesting, but I kind of like to see the method behind work and behind thinking, and so I use this as a way to show that. So it's a kind of making of, and again it's like an art adventure book. It tells the story, it goes a little bit deeper, as well as having all the little bits and pieces of video and reference, and so it becomes an extension of my reflective journal,